Along this spiritual journey, I've learned a lot about my own body awareness, just respect and understanding. When I was a kid, I was a chubby kid. I wasn't too big or whatever, but society always made me feel weird about myself in general. So it was easy to not like myself, my body. But we have to remember our body from the day we're born is all of our stored memories and emotions as a child. And so even though we as adults don't always utilize those emotions and memories, the inner child does, which is why, again, we have anxiety, we get these things in our bodies, blockages, all these things we talk about. When we can remember that, again, that inner voice that's talking to us, it's not us always, it's not society always. Sometimes it's just the memories of the body trying to get back to who it wants to be. And so for me, I just listen to that. I allow my body to work through all of the movements and the aches and the pains that it doesn't really remember sometimes. But if I start to work through the motion, I start to realize, like, oh wow, I personally was not moving my body. I personally was not utilizing it to its full extent. And then as soon as the consciousness and the ego say, okay, shift the body from this side to this side with just a little amount of weight, my body remembers, like, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. And it's like, why were we not doing it this whole time? Because it's like you were forcing us to walk this way or talk this way or act this way in order to appease society. And it's like, oh yeah, I did. Stand up straight, pull your back, do all of this stuff. And it's like, wow, I really did change everything about myself just to try to fit society or a template for someone's sexual desires or needs. So we have to remember we are the vessel, and it's our choice how we look, how we feel, but more importantly is what we decide to put inside of it and surround it with. And so that's why I think it's so important and vital to just pay attention to your body. Understand that it is here to protect you. It is not here to hurt you or harm you. It is not here to negate you. It is your job as the incarnation soul to take care of this body's one and only life, and then it will pass on and move on and go back to source, and as well as us. But the thing is, we have the opportunity to reincarnate. So that's why I always tell people my experience with my physical body, Jawan, who was named by my mother and came through my father's and her seeds and eggs, that's who this body belongs to, not me, the soul, who I call Jah, the incarnation of our emotional well-being. Because for us, the soul, we know what to say and do, but we don't always remember why. The body doesn't know always what to say or do, but it'll do it anyways. And so this is why when we learn how to communicate with our body, we learn how to listen to what it actually wants. This is why we love to feel comfort in massages and spas and all this different stuff, and just watching TV and relaxing, playing games. These are things that comfort that child, that physical body's memory of self. So again, we don't want to be self-loathing to it and beat it up for not getting up and doing some checklist you created and said it has to do, it has to get done. And then when you sit down and relax and realize your body really needs to rest, you're like, oh, I'm so lazy, I'm so worthless. And it's like, the body's like, I didn't tell you to sit here, I'm just tired and I need to recharge. And if you want to keep going, but like, don't blame me for you not doing it. And so this is where I'm like, oh my gosh, we had to learn to communicate. And so when you were able to break through these boundaries, you're able to see then the body knows what to eat and do. The consciousness knows what it needs to do. At that point, it's the ego releasing old paradigms of conditioning and training that's been handed to us versus working through it and just staying stuck in it. Because a lot of people stay stuck in it and work through it. And it's like, you can't stay stuck and work in something that's not going to help your environment. Sometimes you do have to let the towers fall and pull yourself completely out and start fresh, and so that you can see where you are and where you're starting, and that you can keep track of what's happening for your soul's remembrance. When we're able to do that, that's the moment of awareness of, aha, our energies, our powers, they start to what we call activate, and then we start having that real power of our clairvoyancy, our claircognizance, our clairsentience. Like, this is already part of the human body. When you look at any animal or any other species out in the wild, it looks up at you, it can hear you from a mile away from what seems, but what it's happening is it's sensing the energetic bodies. So this is why, again, bodies are our antenna. We have to use them properly and stay aware of how we channel, so that when the frequencies come through, we know how to tune the knob to check in with ourselves. That way we're not stuck on someone else's network listening to whatever program they gave us, and then we're wondering why our body hurts, our mindset feels down and dirty because we're listening to someone else's experience. It's okay to listen and enjoy the story, but don't listen to become someone else's story. So with all that said, just remember to take care of your body now as the consciousness who chooses to walk this earth and pick things that it likes to do simply because, not based on the conditioning of what we've been given since childhood, and definitely not based on the upbringing of the outside world who's constantly shifting and learning from each other every few decades. None of that is real. All of it is just experience shared, and then somebody else says this is fact and not fact. None of it's real. It's all observation, and whatever makes the most sense is what we decide are facts to us, or beliefs, or systems, or whatever we create. Just remember that nothing and no one has ownership of your body. It belongs to you. So if you want to do something with it, that is your choice. If you want to work out, if you don't want to work out, if you want to do surgery, if you don't want to do surgery, whatever, just make sure it's for you, okay? I love you guys. I hope you're doing well. As always, you can check me out on all my social media platforms. EQ with Ja, as well as the spiritual journey. These are two concepts I'm putting together. So I've realized that a lot of the emotional intelligence I'm talking about, I've been learning on my spiritual journey. So please come along and share this new element of my understanding with along this spiritual journey. Thank you guys. As always, check out all of my content down in the bio. Besos.